Ketzer Mavochin ala Peiros. The Mishnah says, how do you make a bracha on Peiros? So the Mishnah says al Peiros that you learn. So if the fruits of the tree, you say by Amar by Peiros, fruits from the yain, except for wine. The yain, since wine is the most chashiv, so Amar by Peiros. But Peiros ha'aretz, similarly, on Peiros ha'aretz, which grow from the ground, which means produce for the ground, or the priyadama. What's going to pass? Shall pass I'm like something in the aretz. Now, Yerakos, vegetables that grow from Ahu, is also by priyadama, and Rabbi Yehuda on that disagrees. He says that we try to be more specific in each bracha, and we say by minei d'shayim. So, Dr. Gemara, how do you know that you have to make a bracha? Where does it say this in the Torah? The answer is Tana Abanim. Pasuk says, Kodesh Yibul Hashem. It's actually talking about in Orla, it's forbidden to eat fruits of the tree. And in the fourth year, it's Kodesh Yibul Hashem, and you need to redeem the fruits. But the fact that the Torah uses this terminology, that the fruits are Hilulim Hashem. What is a fruit? A fruit is something that we praise Hashem with. So where's the praise in the fruit? Well, Amen, it must be. And we learn from here. That it's Hilul, it's also plural. That a fruit contains Hilul Hashem means we praise Hashem before we eat it and after we eat it. It's forbidden. Now they was going to analyze this drasha. How could it be that this is what we learn from it? If we don't need it, do we not need this pasuk to teach me other halachas? It's found, which are, we need it. There's halacha that in order to eat the fourth year of Peres, the netter avoy, they must be redeemed. Achle has to be redeemed. And then it can be eaten. That's one. Number two, we also needed to teach me. What, for this pasuk also we learn what needs a bracha, what needs redemption, which fruit, that which needs shira. It's dafka, the kodesh Hilul Hashem, that's when we say you need the chilul, where it's something which you say shira, you praise. So now what does that mean? How do you know that the only thing that you can say shira is a wine? When you want to make a bracha of shira, so you use wine, it's a kiddush, or brachos, or nitkun al yayin. So that's, or rather, I should say, actually, sorry, this is shira means, I take it back. It's shira in the Beis Hamikdash, Levium. So only it's wine. So she'ein shira lo yain. She'nemar the slave of the heaven. Again, for the chazaltis tiroishis b'sameach alakim Hashem. Pasuk says the wine is b'sameach Hashem. Ve'en Hashem. Iman Hashem b'sameach alakim ma'am b'sameach. So what does it mean? B'sameach alakim. Well, how's that? The answer is shira lo yain, that they use only wine in the Beis Hamikdash to sing the shira Levium. So and that with the shira, and that that will require redemption in the fourth year. So that means only on wine on kerem do you do redemption. So therefore, we need pasuk to teach me those 2 points. Number one, that you do chilul. Number two, only on kerem. So therefore, this pasuk is not available to interpret, to use as a drasha of bracha. So you might say, well, it depends. We're going to make calculations now. It depends how you hold. So the Netivah will fundamentally disagree with the last drasha. He says it's not true. There is no such thing only on wine and shira. Any fruit needs chilul. So automatically I have one pasuk, one extra statement in the Kodesh Hilulim, which can be used for drasha. But the mandam of where I need both, Mike and the member. Whenever the Mishnah speaks about this as kerem, whenever the Mishnah speaks about this chilul, in the fourth year, it's neterevoy. It's all trees. Now, even the man of Kerevoy, so he said, I don't have an extra pasuk. Not necessarily true. We'll see there's also this another possible source that you only can avoid, not from Kodesh Elulim, and therefore it would be available to use the drasha. What would be the other source? The Tanya, so Keren, there's an equation here in the portion of Ravoy to Keren. Who's Keren? Not only Keren, Afkan is Keren. Aitulei Chadchilu the Bracha. So you see, we have a so there we're left with one extra statement of Kodesh Elulim to teach us your bracha. We're in the middle of Amud HaYomi. Without bracha, without Vilo Yov Shava bracha minolei. So the Gemara says, so if you don't know the Shava, okay, and then we said we need both psukim. So what do we in fact we know the din that you have to make a bracha before you eat fruit, before you eat anything? Inam Yov Shava. And even if you do learn Shava, there's still a problem here. We still have to calculate. Ashkan we still have one pasuk teaching me bracha, which will automatically be assumed that pasuk is teaching me bracha achreina. That's the bracha we know about. We're familiar with bracha achreina. We find because Hamazon is bracha. So here too, because of Paris, there'll be bracha achreina. The fun of minayin. How do you know bracha rishayna? So that's not a problem. Holocaust. That we have an answer for. That's kavachaymas. We come to shiur. So they have a bracha shiur of no kol shekain. If a person makes a bracha when he's full, certainly when he's hungry, he should make a bracha. He should be more needy of thanking Hashem. So ashkachan keren. So fine. If again, so if we learn, we're talking about let's say ashkachan keren. Sorry. I'm going to do a shuffle. Yeah, if we learn to do a shuffle, that the parsha of Kodesh Elulim is talking about Kerem, the Zereshova. So Ashkachan Kerem. So we have a possible Shah Minim Minayin. So the other big Kerem. So let's put it out, just like the Torah says, that Kodesh Elulim, on the Kerem, make a bracha, so too with every other fruit. So you can't bring a raya. Not Kerem, Davashanena. You're saying bracha. Oh, sorry. That would be the Yomi, Kamak Kerem, Davashanena, we're saying bracha. I've called Davashanena, that's saying bracha. Ikna Mifrach. There's a pircha. Keren is a special din that you have to give oilos to right, if you whatever you leave over on the tree, whatever clusters are left over, you have to give it away. So you can't. That's a special din. Oilos is only by kerem. You don't have it by other fruits. So maybe the dinim are more chomer. You can't learn out one to the other. So the answer is kama tuchiach. That stalks of grain prove that you make brachos on other things, because we know the Torah clearly says that you make birkas hamazon on grain and wheat on the 5 grains. So you see both kerem and kama and grain require bracha. So it's not a raya. But the kama shekin chayes b'chala. You have to take challah from grain. So there's a kerem yachiach. What's it doing? Because it's a shavhen. There should never time bracha. I've called them shenena. Time bracha. So too, anything requires a bracha. So 1 second though. So that Rav said shavhen shekeli yesh tzotzan reich. Now you talk about wheat and you talk about wine. both those things are used in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Mizbeach. So how can you learn out to anything else? So that's a pircha. So now, now you can learn out olives because we make oil from olives. Now, okay, so that would be the only thing you really learn out, but we're still left with not knowing everything else. Now, there's a parenthetical question the Gemara goes through here. Is that true though? Zayis mitzvah mizbeach also. You can learn out Zayis mizbeach. Well, how do you see that you need to? Why would you need to? If we say kerem needs a bracha, it's Zayis. How do you see for kerem? It's called kerem. I'll show you. You see v'yivav goes for come v'ad kerem Zayis. So the olive orchard is called a kerem. So probably that's not a raya. It's kerem Zayis. Kerem stomach. It's not quite called a kerem. Specifically called the kerem zayis. Can't necessarily learn one to the other. So the point is, we still don't have a source for most foods, most peiros. And so how do we know? Kasha. So we can't learn outside of Shava, so what are we going to do? There's another option. Now, we didn't realize this before. Now I want to say, again, the Torah says in this bracha, so until now we're assuming that meant particularly birkas hamazon on grain. But now that's not true because we can interpret that pasuk. It's saying anytime you eat that, because that parsha is about shivas aminim. So any of the 7 fruits of Eretz Yisrael we require bracha achrayna and kavachayna bracha rishayna. So yom shivas aminim. So we can learn out from shivas aminim. So when it says ma shivas aminim, davar shenene return bracha, av kol davar shenene return bracha. So let's learn out from the shivas aminim. But the Gemara says again, we have a pircha about shivas aminim. She can chayim bikurim. There's special din in shivas aminim. There's you have to bring bikurim. That's one question. Well, Tenech la'achrav, the fun of minayin. So that we answered already. But the first pircha is a pircha of bikurim. That's one. Now there's another big kasha. Now even if you go back, we said originally, if you learn netter avoy, so then there is an extra pasuk. We certainly don't need the pasuk. But even if you learn, and we don't have to, we don't have to start asking all these questions of bikurim or of oilers and l'chulu. So you learn all fruits are included in the original pasuk kodesh shilulim. So what? So but even according to that, there's still a big problem. So that includes all trees, all fruits of trees. The rabba netia, but there are things that are not. There's on basa based in the dogin. What about meat, eggs, fish? Don't grow on trees. We know it. Right? So the bottom line is that yes, we make a bracha. Why? The answer to the question is why do you have to make a bracha and everything? Svara, it's a logic that must be that Hashem did not give you things to be nene without a bracha. If we're nene, we make a bracha. We'll see a little more about that. It's forbidden to be nene in this world without a bracha. It's actually called me'ila. It's like using things that are kodesh for your own purposes. That's me'ila. Maitakante. How do you rectify that? What does it help to go to the chacham? It's a chacham. My avilay. What can he do if you do something wrong? What is he supposed to do to the chacham? My avilay. You already did something wrong. No, what it means to say is the person has to go learn Seches Brachos. You have to go to the chacham to learn. There's a lot of halachas that you have to know. You're going to go to brachos. Anyone who enjoys this world without a bracha is an enemy. Everything belongs to Hashem. Similarly, Ravi asked as a question answer. One sentence says everything belongs to Hashem. Another hand it says the Shemayim Hashem. The Shemayim is Hashem. The Aretz is nothing in the Adam. Once you make a bracha, and then it's ha'aretz nosta b'nei adam. Anyone who enjoys this world without a bracha is like stealing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is such an element. Goizel avi v'imoi. Ein pesha chava v'ish mashkes. Ve'ein avi v'HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Avi is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Alo yichel kanecha. Imoi is called Knesset Yisrael. Shenema shma b'ni Musa v'ichel titish toisim echa. My chava hu v'ish mashkes. What does it mean? The pasuk says he's a friend to someone who destroys. I'm not going to have a proper chava yiram v'nevat. Hishkus Yisrael, which was just like if you don't make a bracha, it's just like that was Hishkus destroyed Yisrael from the Vim Shoshabayim. Look at another steer in the pasuk. I'm thinking about proper rummy. It says, "L'kachti digrani v'itay." Rabbi Shalom says, "I'm going to take my grains." These produce of the land is mine. The Rabbi Shalom. See, on the other hand, it says in Torah, right? It says in Krishma, "L'safta." You should gather the ganecha, your grains. So who is it? Is it ours or Hashem's? What do we do with such a mokum? Then we have the right to have our grains. When we don't, we lose it. Similar discussion here. Safta to ganecha. So in Krishma, we say that a person, will listen to Hashem, and he'll bring rain, and there'll be produce, and you'll gather up your produce. Now, what is the Torah teaching us here? So it says as follows. Now, the Torah says that ultimately a person should only be learning Torah. You don't leave the Sefer Torah from your mouth. So I would take it literally. So the Torah comes along and says, no, but something. How does the minhag eretz? It means you should be learning whatever you can, but we have to have derech eretz. If you need to eat, you need to eat. So you have to go harvest your field. It's okay. That's stira. That's how Yishmael learns. Yishmael shouldn't be Yochai Haggis. He says, no, it can't be. If a person does all these malachas, he's so busy plowing and planting and harvesting, and then he has to take the grain and he has to separate it in Shash Disha, the Zoya, the Shash Zoya, and he also has to plant it, that's part of separating it, Zoya in the air. So he's so busy, there's so many malachas you have to do to get to eat. So you're busy, it takes a lot of time. It's time not to How can it be that you're really going to be able to learn Torah properly? Or that you've been Mekayim, Mayami, Sefer Torah, Picha. Ella, there's a different interpretation. That when the Jewish people do the will of Hashem, they don't have to do all this. The malacha will be done by Goyim. The strangers will shepherd your sheep. Otherwise, then they will have to do the work. In fact, we'll have to we will have to do work for the Goyim. Also could be small, also be on. Now, so the Nachloikis, the Bishmol says the person does need to do derech eretz. So many did that way of Bishmol, and it worked. They were able to learn what they could, and they were able to have parnasa. But the Bishum B'chai will also be yaded. It was very difficult. They couldn't be oimin it. It was too difficult not to work and to only learn. Rava told his Talmudim in a high season of work, and he said when you do the harvest, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be in the Beis Medrash. It's an interesting cloud. He's saying it's worth spending time at certain times of the year to get parnasa, so you'll be able to learn the rest of the year. Let's go live right over Amud HaYomi. They also told us in Kra. The main thing is learning. Right? So this is not a steer to be Shmuel. Shmuel is also saying the Ikar is learning. You do malachas, right? and they were able to, and it was zeicha to both. They had Torah and Parnasa. The Achreidim also Malachim Kra. They got too involved in their work. The Torah and the Rav can be done, and they didn't have either. They didn't have Torah or Parnasa. There's Rishonim, so it's different. Once we're on the topic, there's a different halacha that they were careful about. The Ikar halacha was Rishonim. The normal way is you bring your produce into your house, and you're obligated then at that point, once it comes into your house, to take Trumas and Meisers. You chayav Meiser. The Dosa Chayav, they used a loophole. They're machlisim per se, they're gagos, they didn't bring it through the front door, so in their chafifos, that creates a halachic loophole that parts you from Meiser, because they're part of the Meiser. Amiyane ain't a tevel, is chayav Meiser, at shiyur pnei abayis. It has to go through the front of the house. The Chayav Meiser, you have to cut from the abayis, and you're going to feel chatzuk kivas. The Rebbe disagrees, even if you bring him to the front, to the yard, also obligated Meiser. Let's see a little more. So we said wine gets its own special bracha. Why? Why is that? Why is it different? So because I improved the quality, it started off as grapes, and now it's something much more choshev, it's wine. So then you make a special bracha. But then why would that be true in oil? It's just olives, which are not so edible, and now it's oil is very choshev. The correct bracha on oil is eitz. There's no other option. What would the bracha be? Priya zayis, perigufa zayis ikra. There, the fruit itself is called zayis. So, priya gefen is called from the tree. It's the produce of the tree. But here, it's a funny thing. The Torah we use the same term for the fruit as the tree, so it's confusing. We can't use that bracha. What about, so use the word, the tree of the zayis. So we could get out of it. We could solve that problem. That is that wine satisfies a person. Oil, you can add it and use it or whatever to food, but it's not something you can really eat and be satisfied. Technically, is that true? If a person says, I will not eat any food, anything that's sustainable, that sustains, so that he's allowed to eat only salt, water and salt. So including oil, it's called food. We say that's a that why is not everything possibly mezainis then? Well, no, but only lie. That's what we say. That's only when you say Suyan Hanami. If he says mazain, it's only grains. If he says azaralai, it's anything which sustains. But anyways, the point is in the story here is amamash chazayim, that oil does sustain, that does give sustenance. So why don't you make also special bracha on oil? And the answer is as follows: Chamas Sayyid, wine fills up a person. It's Sayyid, it's like a meal. Umashkaloi Sayyid. And the more I ask, is that true? Wine, I don't know, wine's a meal. You're not allowed to eat. You're not allowed to fill yourself up. You have to be hungry to eat matzah. So why did you drink wine at Pesach? He wanted to make himself hungry. So one answers tuva gadar. So a lot makes you hungry, but a little bit of wine puta fills you up. Said. In fact, the Gemara, is that true? Wine makes you happy. Bread fills you up. Satisfies. So one says no. Nama the side is true. Bread satisfies. Chama. Sorry, that's the question. Nama who the side? Chama lo side. No. So the one answer the chama is for tata. Side. Wine actually has two qualities to it. It is side. Like we said, a little bit of wine is side. It does satisfy you. It does satisfy hunger. And it's misameach. Bread, nama, is Masay Tzai, Mismukna Samcha. So Yachim says Brachos. So why don't you bench on wine? So the answer is no. Look, cover interested in it's not the same as bread. You don't usually have a meal based on wine. I don't know. That's a good question. You're going to have to ask Eliyahu Navi. Yavi Kiyusa Hash. It will be Kiyusa. But in the meantime, Eliyahu Navi is on here. Hashem, but the most people don't use it as a meal, so therefore it's batal daita, and you don't mention it. Okay. When tomorrow come, I should come after Shabbos.